Hello everybody, this is Danny Class, and today we are going to continue our exploration of fingerstyle guitar by looking at a technique whose name I just do not know. And so for lack of a better term, I'm going to call them reverse arpeggios. And once we get going through the lesson, I'll explain why I called it that. And I thought they were called trills, but they're not, because a trill is something different in classical guitar. And then I just sort of gave up and said, well, we're going to do the lesson. And if you know exactly the proper name for this technique, either in the fingerstyle world or probably in the classical world, please leave the comments in the box below, and then we can at least get it properly put. But for now, I'm going to call them reverse arpeggios. And it is something that you can use, a right hand technique that can help give a kind of energy and a different kind of sound to your playing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the camera closer in to my right hand, because that's where this lesson is focused on. And then on my left hand, I am going to probably just go with a C major chord. It really doesn't matter, and you can certainly move around, but the C major chord will work well because it's a chord you probably know. And also, it is a chord that uses 5 strings, and with this technique, the more strings, it will be, I think, a little easier. Okay, so if we look at a basic arpeggio, these being kind of open note arpeggios where each one rings through, there are a lot of things, of course, we can do with this. I talked about kind of deconstructing arpeggios in an earlier lesson. But one thing to keep in mind is if you go perhaps a little faster and a little faster, this can be a useful way to practice your right hand. And what I'm doing for this particular pattern just seems to work well for me is thumb and then ring finger and then middle finger and then first finger. Thumb on the 5th string, ring finger on the 2nd string, middle finger on the 3rd string, and first finger on the 4th string. And to get speed on that, it's always better to start slow. Okay, so what I'm calling a reverse arpeggio is a technique, and I honestly don't know where I got it from. It just kind of came to me. And what I do is when I'm playing any chord, it seems to work well with the chord, what I do is I reverse my fingers down like this, meaning from the pinky, although I don't really use the pinky on this, so we'll say from the ring finger to the 2nd finger to the 1st finger in a kind of wave motion, right? So I set it up and then they go down like that. And that's what I mean by reverse. The order typically is reversed from the arpeggio that I'm doing, which, again, I'm not sure why it wound up like this, but it just seems to be of these fingers going up like this. So what if we reverse them? Okay, so if I take the C chord and I'm just kind of playing around, in fact, just to keep it sort of consistent, I'll just play it like this. Thumb, 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger. And then if I decide to reverse, so what I do is I start with my ring finger, and that gets the 5th string, and then the middle finger gets the 4th string, and then it looks like the 1st finger gets the 3rd string like this. So again, to do this reverse arpeggio, I'm starting with, you can't see it because these fingers are in the way, but the ring finger starts it off, and then the 1st finger, and then the 1st finger going up in the strings. And there's different ways to do it. You know, it's interesting, if you kind of give a light touch and then even mute the chord on the left hand, you get an interesting little effect. Thumb's not really doing anything. And I suppose there's different ways to do this. You could do this little reverse arpeggio with just the interior chords of the C major chord, those being the fourth, third, and second string. It doesn't really matter, I think. What matters is this idea of what if, and I love that question in guitar, what if we decided to do something just to see what happens? You know, what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't work out. So I think that's where I personally came to this technique. I suppose there's more proper ways to come to it, but I just thought, well, I'm always plucking up, right? We're always doing that as fingerstyles, plucking up, but this is also a legitimate way of playing. So I thought, what if we could kind of combine that? Because after all, when I'm doing this thing that I call a reverse fingerstyle, I'm kind of going down. It feels, you can hear the nail more, you know? And then I got the wave idea just to kind of, I'm not really sure why, it just kind of came to me. Maybe I was channeling an old guitar teacher who talked about, you know, each finger being responsible perhaps for each string, but I honestly don't know why. And I would also say, if you're practicing this technique, see what works for you. But again, the basic idea is, instead of plucking up, also why don't we try to pluck down? Now let's just try a different chord just to get a different sound. I'll do a D major chord. Again, from the ring finger, then the second finger, and then the index. And you know, with this one, I think what I'm doing is I'm just strumming the chord down when I reverse it. So that could be another way to think about maybe the C major chord. When you do this reverse fingerstyle, just, you know, do all of the chord with each finger just on that reverse motion. So you know, I have to say, it really is difficult to explain this because it's so quick and I don't think about it much. And I hope that's helpful in the sense that don't overthink this technique, but just kind of get a feel for it. And then maybe start slow. Perhaps overdo it a bit. And then increase speed. Etc., etc. So hopefully you found that useful. Keep practicing, and I think if you practice this technique, or really any technique, every day, you'll get better. So thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you next time. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.